Hi, everyone. This is Julie Roth-Novak. I am the CEO and co-founder of PartySlate. I welcome you to this is actually our 10th digital event.
Big
Uh,
milestone.
Big milestone. I have to give a shout out to Lauren and Kylie, Amanda, Chelsea, everyone who's helped us put this program together. I've been during this time of kind of isolation when we're all working from home, and many of you I know are struggling, and my heart goes out to you during this crazy pandemic. My mission, and with the help of my team, is to get to share as much digital education as we can. So every week we pick a different topic. Our topic today is Pinterest marketing. I'm very excited to talk about this one. And we're also going to talk about how PartySlate works together with Pinterest as part of our ecosystem, and also some things on PartySlate that you can't get on Pinterest. So we don't look at Pinterest as a competitor. Of course, you can get inspiration from both platforms. Pinterest really is a great marketing platform to drive people to PartySlate. And so, Lauren, anything else you want to mention before we jump in?
No, I'm excited for this one. I think we got such great questions last time. So remember to pop them into the chat so everybody else can see them and take advantage of your great questions as well. And we'll take them throughout the presentation.
Great. So kind of the agenda today, and again, for those of you, we have a lot of new people on the Zoom, which welcome. Thank you for joining. One thing I wanted to mention in advance is when I started PartySlate about 5 years ago, really our idea was to be an amazing place where people planning events could find new ideas, but those new ideas were also connected to the venues, the planners, the photographers that actually produced that event. And Pinterest was always part of our strategy. So our goal was very high of funnel people that were looking in Google and Pinterest would be led back to PartySlate because we have over 800,000 photos that are all professionally curated and planned on PartySlate. I can talk more about that later. So Pinterest has been a part of our strategy since day one. And so we have a lot of experience with over, I think, close to 2 million impressions on Pinterest a month in capturing people when they're looking for inspiration, and again, driving them back to what we consider a higher intent, people that are actually leaning in to plan an event on PartySlate. So today I'm going to talk about a little context setting for Pinterest. I gave you a little preview of that. Developing your Pinterest strategy, which is really important. So you shouldn't just be putting links up there. You really have to be thoughtful on how you're going to use Pinterest. And then how Pinterest is part of the PartySlate ecosystem. So how we use Pinterest to not only promote content that's on PartySlate, but also to attract people back to our platform. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about 5 features on PartySlate that really go beyond what Pinterest is doing. Pinterest is a mass market, everyone uses it, from recipes to kids parties to do-it-yourselfer to home improvement. But we're really going to talk about how PartySlate's features were custom built for the events industry. And then I'm always going to give you my geeky Pinterest action plan, things you can do to actually get started to have Pinterest work harder for your business to build your brand. So for my context setting, I just want to, I know I mentioned this a lot, but I want you to think about Pinterest as just one touch point in your digital footprint. Really, the way to think about Pinterest is a visual search engine. So a lot of the SEO mindset that I always talk about as far as your overall, how you get discovered through Google, you really need to apply that to Pinterest. It isn't like Instagram. It isn't like Facebook. There are elements that make it a social platform, but really it is a visual search engine. And so you have to think about it as, what are people searching for either on Google and land in Pinterest or directly through Pinterest, and how are they going to find me? 95%, probably more, of inspiration searches start on Google, and Pinterest is often, PartySlate is often first page too, but Pinterest is often first page. They have been at this a very, very long time. And again, it's more of an index of content than a platform itself. And when I talk about touch points, it may take 7 or 8 touch points before someone reaches out to you. Pinterest could be a touch point. And again, I'll give you my opinion later on the priority of your digital channels. But again, Pinterest should be in your holistic thinking when you talk about your digital footprint. So at that, I'm going to jump right into Pinterest strategy. And Lauren, you can tell me if there's any questions as we go along. As always, I always like having you as my co-host here. And I will also mention that Lauren works directly and manages our Pinterest team. And so she's got a lot of day-to-day knowledge on our Pinterest strategy. She's just making me look good on this call with all the knowledge. So you jump in anytime, but
it's a team.
It's a team effort. Takes a village.
It does.
But again, I always say, hire people that are smarter than you. And I will tell you, our marketing team, they are so smart about all of these areas that I'm talking about every week. Yes. And Pinterest included. We have a dedicated Pinterest team that is amazing, that works with our overall social strategy. And again, I learn a lot from them. So it's all.
I feel that way too. And they're also in the chat, so they may jump in and answer some of your questions that are even more specific than what I'll jump in with. So we'll be all over the place.
Great. So there's 3 areas of focus for your Pinterest strategy. Your content strategy, thinking about the organization of your Pinterest profile and your board optimization, and then your pinning strategy and how you're organizing your pinning strategy. So I'm going to jump into these 3 areas, and then we can talk about kind of the broader context of Pinterest. So again, you've seen this slide before if you were on my SEO optimization webinar, which is again an hour all about SEO for the events industry. But you really need to think about what are your content or SEO thinking for Pinterest. So for example, if you're a wedding planner in San Diego that focuses on certain types of outdoor beautiful events, you want to think about what are those long tail keywords that you want to be discovered for. So it's very hard on Pinterest or Google or anywhere just to be found wedding planner. And so you want to think about what are your specific targeted keywords that you want to gain momentum on Pinterest. You want to make a list of those topics and those keywords, and then come up with a strategy to post and pin content related to those keywords. So for Pinterest, you want to think about your profile name and description. How can you get those keywords in there? Your board names, your board descriptions, your pin descriptions, all of those tie back to your keyword strategy and getting found and discovered on Pinterest. So it's I would say Pinterest marketing is the closest, of course there's nuances because it's a visual search engine versus text, to thinking about your Google SEO strategy.
And we'll have some good examples later about those board names and some specifics to help you guys.
Okay, great. And so really when you're thinking about your pinning strategy, yes, you can create kind of organic content directly on Pinterest, but a lot of your strategy is going to be leveraging content that already exists. So think about your event photos, your event videos, your blog posts. You can create infographics, or you may have some infographics or cool visuals on trends that you're seeing. Also, any press hits that you've had. These are all pieces of content that can tie into things that you share in different boards and are organized around your keywords. So I know, for example, creative kid birthday party ideas, that's a big topic on Pinterest. And again, sometimes those people may not be looking for a professionally planned kid party, but it's a way to raise awareness of PartySlate. So when they're planning their larger scale events, and again, I know many of you do kids parties, but 99% of them are do-it-yourself. It's a way to raise awareness that PartySlate is a resource for event inspiration for all event types, not just weddings. And so this is an example that I know ranked really well for us on 10 birthday party ideas for kids that are setting the trends for 2020. There's a lot of great SEO keywords that are packed into that headline. And then we shared it to Pinterest, and again, drive people back to PartySlate through this post.
Right, and even those like few people, that small percentage, which are incredible kids' birthday parties, we want them to get to PartySlate to find even more valuable resources than they might find on Pinterest. So that arrow goes back and forth because they can come to PartySlate from the pin that they find on Pinterest, and then we also pin from that article and send it back to Pinterest, which Julie's going to talk about in a little bit.
Yeah, and the content that performs best on, and again, I'm going to go look at our PartySlate profile on Pinterest and give you a little bit more context here. But 85% of Pinners really, they're looking for great visuals. I think that's true. I mean, PartySlate is a very visual platform. That said, for SEO and discoverability, the text is key. And so you want a great image, but you also have to have the SEO keywords or Pinterest keywords in the description and the title to make sure that you can be found. Vertical images do much better because, first of all, they take up more space, and the vast majority of Pinterest browsers are on their mobile phone. So they might be casually browsing, and again, they're on their phone, either they're on the app, and they save that. And so a vertical pin is going to get you much more real estate and notice versus horizontal. It doesn't mean you can't do horizontal pins. Like, it's not like a rule they all have to be. I'm just saying that verticals will do better for you. And again, you want to, just like Instagram, have a descriptive storytelling in your copy. But unlike Instagram, that is more hashtag driven for discoverability, the actual words are really important for discoverability on Pinterest. I know, Lauren, you've talked many times that our seasonal posts, our holiday posts tend to do well, just because that's where you'll see surges of search come in around key times of year, themes, settings, etc.
Exactly. I mean, if you think of your own search behavior, if you're wanting to host a Mother's Day brunch, you probably go on Google or on PartySlate or on Pinterest to look for those ideas, the same way that so many consumers are doing just the same thing. So this image was one of our best performing posts of the past couple months, and it has to do with Mother's Day, a really adorable photo of this mimosa bar from an amazing company called Curated Company. And that was very, very specific to this time of year and to this holiday. So just a great example. And there's so many of those to take advantage of. We actually have a first question in terms of, so this is obviously a close-up shot of a very fun mimosa bar, but do close-up shots do better than wide shots? And like, how would you suggest varying the content that you put on your Pinterest profile?
I think the key, close-up shots do well, but also broader event shots do well as well. You want there to be 4 or 5 like points of interest that someone could react to, and that's the same on Instagram. So in this picture, like the way the fruit is displayed, the little cute sign with the champagne in the background, and like the labels on each of the carafes, I don't even know what to call it. There's more than one thing you can react to. So the further back shots, like, so if you have a beautiful aisle and a wedding arch and beautiful seats or chairs, that's more than one thing that people can react to. And I think those are the photos that do better. So I think, like, for caterers, like a really close in shot of one piece of, like an entree may not do as well as if the entree is shown with this, a tablescape in the background or something else to react to.
Right. And we're getting a couple questions about hashtags, and we're going to hold off just because we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about that in a few slides.
Yes. And so one thing I will say about hashtags is hashtags and keywords are important on Pinterest. On Instagram, hashtags are the main way of discovery. On Pinterest, it's just one of many things that's weighed into their algorithm. And so for me, the priority on Pinterest is your descriptions and your keywords built into the post, and hashtags are secondary, but hashtags will boost your findability on Pinterest. And we can talk more about that later. But as far as the second area, Pinterest profile board optimization, similar to any profile page, you want to have a really strong company description, but you want to make sure your keywords are in your descriptive text. And so it's more important than ever on Pinterest to make sure it's very clear of those keywords. Again, San Diego, wedding planner, bar mitzvah planner, Chicago, whatever that is, those keywords need to be built into that. A business profile, you will get more advanced analytics, but it does require a little bit of techie work and some code. It isn't so difficult, and especially if you have a friend who's like a developer or more on the tech-oriented side, I think it's worth getting a business profile if you are going to take Pinterest as one of your kind of serious channels for social media. If it's not, just start with a regular profile. You can always convert to a business profile later. Pinterest terms of and service, if you are a business, they do want you to have a business profile for obvious reasons. Then you can do advertising, you can promote your pins, you can get more advanced analytics. But I will tell you right now, if you don't feel like you have a strong, Instagram feed yet, you're working on your website, you have other priorities, I would put this secondary to doing some of those other things, but just know that it is out there, and with a little bit of help, you can create a business profile with 2 or 3 additional steps that you need to do. As far as Pinterest board structure and organization, again, put your SEO mindset on. Things like baby shower ideas. People are searching on this all the time. We have 88 pins tied to this, seasonal things, spring, summer, winter. We also have colors, yellow bar bat mitzvahs. Again, any combination of things that are long tail that you think you could rank for are boards that you want to create.
And we're getting a question. Yeah, we're getting a question about sizing of photos really quickly. We actually have a list of resources we can send out after this that will include very specific details just like that.
Yep. And I think the main thing you want to think about is the vertical orientation, again, has a better performance than horizontal. There are kind of those long pins that you can create that have multiple photos on them. I think you have to decide, is the effort to create those custom pins in design in Canva worth it? Or do you want to, we're the only industry in the world that has a built-in photographer and videographer. You have this unlimited kind of group of photos that you can share. Is it better for you to post more often with less custom graphics? I think it's worth testing, creating the custom long pins with design in Canva versus just, and we're doing our own testing on our side, just doing more frequent posting of photos that already exist. You don't have to design anything.
And then there's another great question before we move on about repeating pins. So like, for example, a really amazing balloon photo for a kid's birthday party might fall into kids' birthday party ideas. And then we also have a really amazing balloon board with these really beautiful, gorgeous balloon photos. So should you repeat the pin multiple times, or is it just you pin it once and you want to be done?
So my perspective, and again, Lauren, you can jump in, is multiple pins is great. It shows that it's a valuable piece of content as long as it belongs in that category and it's relevant. Because in addition to, again, we don't know Pinterest's exact algorithm. In addition to the text and how often you post, they actually have image recognition technology. So they actually can also look at what's in those images, not every image, but they do have some of that. So if you have a lot of these balloon images as an example, and you have a balloon decor, balloon installation board, I would definitely add it, because that's just going to make it more rich and more valuable. More people are going to pin it, and it's going to be discovered more.
Yeah, I think the same way that, Julie was comparing Pinterest to Google, I think Pinterest is very smart. They have tons of engineers working at their company. They'll know if you're just pinning it 50 times just to get it out there as many times as possible. So I think relevance is most important. If you pin it a few times because you have a few different boards where people would be happy to discover that photo on that board, I think that makes complete sense.
Absolutely. And I think the thing about Pinterest, which is similar to SEO, is great content with smart keyword, and description and beautiful photos that will win over trying to trick the system. Again, they have hundreds of computer scientists that are trying to figure out the algorithm for what people are looking for and matching those up. And so the best thing to win on all digital channels really is smart content marketing that looks great. Just add the nuances, like Pinterest long pins are better. Keywords more important than hashtags. You just need to think through your content strategy. So when it comes to pinning strategy and the types of pins, there's something called organic pins, which is, again, you're selecting a beautiful photo, you're adding the rich description, you're adding a text URL, either linking you to a blog or an article. And then there's something called rich pins, which is really only for business profiles. And that does require, again, that little bit of code that they're going to provide for you. If you do have the energy, again, extra credit to do this, you will get the benefits of additional analytics and some additional features and being able to do, again, for example, these rich pins. And the rich pins are either articles, recipes, or products. So it's obviously really great and important for e-commerce companies to have rich pins, also for recipes. And again, I would say this is extra credit. First, get your profile and your board in order. And then you have to prioritize all your digital initiatives and decide, is it worth the investment of doing the business profile or not? And again, I don't want to scare you that it's too much work, but it is some work that is required when you create a business profile. And then repinning, again, you may want to be, if you're building your personal brand about a certain category or a certain type of event, and you want to repin and create some collections or some boards from repins, that's great. I personally think for our industry, it's best just to use your own content and link back to either your PartySlate profile, you have all this amazing work there, or your website or your blog or all of those things, versus creating repins from other people's content. So if you think about Instagram, do you occasionally repost from someone else? Yes, but I don't think it's core to your strategy.
I agree. And I think we got a question about about repinning. So that was a great segue. And then also about the number of boards, about, is it better to have more boards, as many as possible? Is it better to just focus on boards that are really relevant to your business? What would you say about that?
So I think there's always like the quality versus quantity aspect. I think if you have, 10 to 15 amazing boards that represent your keywords and what you want to be known for, I would say that's better than having 50 kind of light boards that don't have a lot of meat to it. Because you also need to think, when someone's stalking you, I call that researching, but really stalking you, when they land on your page, forget Pinterest discovery. You do want to have this rich experience, just like your profile page. If you have just 3 events on your PartySlate profile, I think it doesn't look as good as if you have 9 to 15 that really shows, I do weddings, I do corporate, I do baby showers. You want to have more selection. So I think, I don't know what you think, Lauren, but I think 10 to 15 good ones is better than 30 lame ones.
Completely agree. First of all, you don't want any lame content anywhere on any of your profiles. And I think, like, remembering the ultimate goal of putting your work out into the Pinterest universe is to drive them back to your PartySlate profile or to your website or to somewhere that's a richer experience. So no matter how you get the pins out there, you could have 5 boards. If your pins themselves and your descriptions and your keywords are great, your board amount is secondary, because you just want them to make sense with the boards.
Yes, I think that makes sense. And then as far as like your strategy of how you organize your pins, just a few more best practices. You really want to post things that you don't want this to be such an overwhelming experience. I'm going to walk you through how you can share from your PartySlate profile, but you can pin things that are already created from your website, your PartySlate profile, your blog, really linking back to that richer, more engaging experience, or really trying to drive people down in your funnel. So if you think about the top of funnel, could be, Google and Pinterest, and then driving them deeper to a place they can really get to know you as a company and a brand, and contact you, obviously. You always want to have your URLs linked to each pin. And so I don't know, Lauren, if you have any best practices tied to that, but you want to make sure that it's not just a photo, that it links you back to your
Exactly, because at the end of the day, again, you want people to come find out more about your business. It's the inspiration is the starting point, but you want them to get somewhere for a richer experience where they can ultimately reach out to you. So we're also getting a couple questions about scheduling. So I think that you can see here that this is our account, which we obviously have a business account. So we can schedule these pins, and we use an external service where, a business with these people dedicated to Pinterest, which is amazing. But if you don't have the ability to schedule, you can go in, a few times a week and post a few pins at a time, just making sure that you're consistent and that you're posting pretty often throughout the week.
Yeah. And I think for Pinterest, unlike like other platforms, I think, it's the same probably holds true for Instagram and Facebook, is you don't want like the big bang, like I'm going to do, 30 pins in the next 30 minutes. And so if you do take on Pinterest as one of your priorities, you may want to consider scheduling, or, a time in the day when you're doing, again, I'm a big LinkedIn fan. I don't want to overwhelm people, but if you're doing a LinkedIn post, maybe you do 2 shares on Pinterest, you do a quick, Facebook, and of course, Instagram is a little bit more thoughtful. So I think consistency is part of Pinterest's algorithm. And when I say algorithm, it's just a math formula on what do they show when to who on what search result. And so it's not just like 5 things, it's a couple hundred factors that go into what they show to who.
That's great. And I think we got another really good question from a photographer who's asking about, I would guess, all the different venues that you've worked at. And if you should include the name of the venue and the pin that you're doing, or the board. And I think that's actually something that we're going to cover in this section, how you can really enhance your Pinterest experience with what PartySlate offers. And there could be complementary ways to do that with Pinterest. So Julie, I don't know your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, definitely venue names, city names, local things that people search for. So if your bride or mitzvah mom or gala host, they know their venue, anything you can tie yourself to that venue is a very strategic way to get more exposure. So that's something we automatically do on PartySlate, but on Pinterest that doesn't do that, I would definitely include venue names. And again, you have to balance, making it look good and flow well with these SEO techniques. So you don't want your title to be like, 3 lines long, but you want to make sure you're packing in really relevant keywords. And I think venue names are a relevant keyword. So I would definitely use them. And I'm going to talk about that more as we get into what performs best. So Lauren, I know you and the team are working really hard to create seasonal and timely things that do well on Pinterest. So for example, spring and summer pins are doing well now. Outdoor shots happen to do better on Pinterest, kind of light and airy photos. And of course I don't want to overemphasize this, but your keyword rich descriptions have to tie back to that, because someone's going to be searching on summer party ideas, or again, and you have to decide, do you want to rank on things like that? Do you do outdoor parties? My sense is if you have photos and events that tie back to those keywords, you want to rank. And even if they're just looky-loos and they're not going to hire you, it does help raise your brand awareness. And maybe 1 out of 100 of those people are actually someone that actually could hire you and is looking for someone that has just your service.
Absolutely. And you'll see in the description down there in the lower right corner, it's not a very long description, but we wanted to make it count. So you can see we use the phrase outdoor wedding in there a few times. Wedding is in there more than a few times. We use hashtags. So it shouldn't take very long when you're creating these pins to include a description and a few key hashtags, just to make it that much more powerful.
Absolutely. And some other things I mentioned earlier, vibrant, eye-catching colors, unique design, again, keyword rich description with your relevant hashtags. So these are just some of the things that work well for PartySlate to get more people there. And again, during a time like this, you might think, oh, this might be over the top. We're in this pandemic. Yes, you have to be sensitive. We are writing about smaller events, backyard events, still, of course, professionally planned. But at the same time, this could be a year from now that someone finds this photo that speaks to them. So look at Pinterest, similar to PartySlate and your website, is that you're building evergreen content that is not going to go away. And so I wouldn't hold back from posting your best work on Pinterest. Just make sure you have a little bit of everything, especially during this time when smaller events are going to come back first.
Absolutely. And I think something to remember is people on Pinterest want that inspiration now more than ever. And, that previous photo is these vibrant oranges and pinks. And, they may have pinned it because they love those colors and it really caught their eye. So thinking about it is more than just the photo of what it actually is, and all the different elements like Julie was talking about before can really catch people's eye as they're browsing through their feed.
And then now I'm going to talk about Pinterest as part of the PartySlate ecosystem. Then I'll jump out to our Pinterest board and also show how to save from your PartySlate profile to Pinterest. But again, I mentioned before, we never viewed Pinterest as a competitor to PartySlate. We actually viewed some of the shortcomings of Pinterest as an opportunity for PartySlate. So we look at this as when you're high in the funnel and you're just thinking about ideas, your event might be 2 years away, or you're just dreaming about an event. We want to be there and raise awareness that PartySlate is this amazing inspiration resource that's more curated and also geared towards professionally planned events. So we use PartySlate as a traffic driver. So there was this amazing social distance graduation driveway party that was done in LA. We posted out to a social distance driveway party board to drive people again back to PartySlate. So it's timely, it's relevant, it has a very catchy image, kind of very timely, obviously during this pandemic. And again, it's really a great way to drive awareness of PartySlate as a resource. And again, it's just one touch of many that people will have. And for us, it is, I think, a top 3 social media driver for us. So obviously Instagram, Facebook, and Pinterest.
It is. I think just because people love the content that all of you are sharing with us, that we get to share it on Pinterest. We're getting a question specifically about hashtags and how or I'm sorry, keywords and hashtags, and how you know which ones to use. You'll note, this is a good example actually, that the hashtags included here are actually pretty simple, that when people are searching on Pinterest, they're searching for very basic, very specific ideas or elements that they're most interested in. So graduation party obviously has been very popular the last few weeks and months. So my suggestion would be to keep it simple. Julie, I don't know what you would add.
Yeah, I mean, I keep it simple. I think 3 to 5 hashtags are enough. You can use up to 20, I believe, on Pinterest. And I think, again, keywords, number one, in your descriptions, hashtags secondary. So you do not have to go crazy on hashtags, but it is an opportunity to boost your discoverability. And so again, as part of this is a very big slide, but our PartySlate profile content is the center of our ecosystem, but we push out all of the events that you post goes into our inspiration real events feed section. So that's almost like our Instagram feed. It goes into landing pages that we feature events. So for example, partyslate.com/weddings, partyslate.com/corporate events. It goes into our directory. It goes into our editorial best of. So our editorial team is always looking for new content coming on PartySlate, but it also is pushed out to our social media. And so one thing we do is what we find amazing, amazing, beautiful content. We will push it to Instagram. We will push it to Pinterest, and in a different way, unique for that channel. And more, we're doing LinkedIn and trend articles, things like that. All of that is part of our ecosystem. And how we drive traffic to PartySlate and bring people back is, of course, we do paid ads. So we do very targeted ads on Instagram and Facebook and Google. We have our email marketing program, which we believe is a big competitive difference for us, that we have a very, very targeted email program. And then again, social media, all is around content marketing. So as opposed to banners, which you won't find on PartySlate, like kind of like, buy, like e-commerce or buy Lexus, you're not going to see those type of things. We use all of our content to drive traffic back to our PartySlate community of event professionals. And of course, our premium members get about 8 to 10 times the impressions that our free profiles get. So now I'm going to talk a little bit. Many people ask me, okay, tell me from a consumer perspective how PartySlate is different than Pinterest. And I think it's a very good question. And again, as I mentioned before, we don't view them as a competitor. So I'm going to talk about the 5 key differences of PartySlate that really goes beyond Pinterest. And again, we know Pinterest is much larger than us. We're not saying it's not a great resource. In fact, we use it ourselves to drive traffic. It's just a very, very different use case, not to sound like tech geek, but it's a different case of how people use it. So number one, PartySlate is only curated content. So I know one thing, I get overwhelmed in Pinterest when I click gala or fundraiser ideas, and I'm like, oh my God, there's bingo balls and there's this and there's do-it-yourselfers, and it's not curated. So consumers or party hosts cannot post on PartySlate. Only professionals that have profile pages. There is no spam. There's nothing allowed on PartySlate except for professionally planned events. We also have curated, for example, our wedding gallery page. Everything is related to weddings. You can search by color and by type and setting, etc. It's curated for you. We don't accept iPhone photos. And then our editorial team hand selects photos that we get into your profile pages for articles. So everything is tied back to the people that actually produce those events. If once in a blue moon there's a photo that doesn't have credits, we will make sure we will not feature it. We'll make sure that full credits are tied to that event before we feature it in our editorial. So again, it's just a different strategy. And again, stop me, Lauren, if I miss anything. Number 2, we have full credits on PartySlate. So you cannot post a beautiful event without your credits. And then you decide if it's 3 credits or 10 credits, that's really up to you, but you have to have credits when you post on PartySlate. Therefore, you have clear attribution, or it's a fancy way of saying they know who did the event, versus on Pinterest, it's reposted, it tends to get lost. And worse yet, sometimes people can steal your photos, say there, of course they can still do that now and say it's your own. On PartySlate, you can't do that, because trust me, if someone posts content that's not their own, we hear it from all over the country and it is immediately taken down. So like, we take part of our DNA, our core values is, you know, putting a light on this amazing work that's tied back to the people that actually did it. The second thing is, every time you credit someone, your work shows up on their profile page. So for our free profiles, you get up to 3 credited events that will show up. If you're a premium member, you get an unlimited amount of credited events. And then you're also listed as a resource for amazing venues that you work at, for photographers that you partner with. That's something that, again, Pinterest doesn't have, that we feel is very, very important in our industry. One thing I hear over and over again is Pinterest, again, lots of selection, but you click on a gorgeous photo and then you're like on some spammy kind of website, or it's a dead end link. Like, you actually click on it and you don't even know where that photo is that you clicked on. And it also doesn't have the credits tied back. So with PartySlate, every time you click on a photo you like, you go back to a profile page with full credits and you know exactly where you are on PartySlate. The fourth thing is, I love Pinterest for like my kids' birthday parties. I will admit, like rainbow themed sleepover, like you're going to find great stuff on Pinterest, but the user experience is very, overwhelming and cluttered. So on PartySlate, we made a decision early on that we are like a museum and your work is the art. And so there are not ads for car companies or for wedding dresses. There is not clutter. There are not iPhone photos. We are specifically custom made to celebrate the work of the events industry. And therefore, when consumers or party hosts come and they're looking for wedding aisles and arches, they see this stunning, stunning collection of SEO optimized, beautiful images that, again, tie back to your profile pages. And then the last thing I'll say about this is, our content-rich profile page is really custom made to really celebrate the work you do, the brand you represent. And we have a full event gallery of all your events. And you can see it's very curated. It's easy to use. Again, you can create a free profile. You get, I think, I should know this, up to 15 events that are fully featured, and you get photos and galleries, everything you could need to represent your brand. And if you need help creating this, we have our white glove service premium memberships that can boost you on the site. And one thing I'll show is just to really quickly take you to a sample profile page. So again, this is a new premium member, beautiful work, Daughter of Design. You can see they have 5, for premium members, you get up to 5 cover photos. So you can show a wedding, you can show corporate, you can show all your work. As you scroll down, you can see there's these beautiful, beautiful full events here, product launches, weddings, experiential activations. So if you click on here, and again, this is the way you can save time on Pinterest. If you see something like a beautiful photo that you want to save, you can either save it to an idea slate, which is really easy to do. So I have all my idea slates here on PartySlate, or you can save it to Pinterest. And again, you can create a custom board easily from PartySlate. I don't remember, I did not choose a vertical, so I did not follow my own advice. Let's choose a vertical photo. You go to this image. Again, you can save to Pinterest right here. And again, this is good for you and it's good for PartySlate. It raises awareness of PartySlate as a platform. You can save it to a board, or you can create a new board. And again, you want to pack this with your SEO keywords. If you already have a board for outdoor, greenery, again, whatever your keyword is, pink floral ceiling decor, whatever it is, you can create a board here and save it very, very easily to Pinterest. Our goal with PartySlate is to make it a content marketing machine, everything packed in a profile page that saves you time. I don't want Pinterest to be overwhelming for you. So if you can actually use your PartySlate profile as a springboard for your Pinterest marketing, we see many, many people do that, which is why Pinterest is such a top traffic driver for us. And then the last thing I'll say is, on your profile page, people can, unlike Pinterest, it's just really easy for them to reach out to you and contact you and see all the people that you work with. So I just wanted to give a good snapshot of how your PartySlate profile, which is custom made for the events industry, can complement and can actually help you with your Pinterest marketing. I said a lot there, Lauren. Did I miss anything?
No,
Okay, great.
I love this profile.
Yeah, and again, one thing I'll say, oh yeah, this is beautiful. And just an example, here's another category. I just had a call with them this morning, court party rental. Again, they have their video here. They have 36 photos, and then they don't have as many videos as I would like to see, but they can link any videos from YouTube and Vimeo, also really great for SEO. Really easy way to share your profile again, and then share out to Pinterest. So that is really the 5 key differentiators here. And again, we're not saying Pinterest is better or worse. It's just different. It's a totally different use case. We think Pinterest can be a great part of your overall marketing strategy, your digital marketing strategy. But I will say, if you don't yet have what you feel good about, like an Instagram profile, if you don't yet have a PartySlate profile that's kind of up and running, and of course your website, a strong handshake, really a great visual representation of your brand, Pinterest may be, secondary. I do think I'm a big Pinterest believer, but you have to prioritize. You can't do everything. And so I would leverage Pinterest as one of your touch points and experiment with it. But first I would focus on some of those other things that I mentioned. And again, I showed you how to share directly from PartySlate to Pinterest. Again, we put the Pinterest icon there because we know people are looking for inspiration on Pinterest. I know we have a love-hate relationship with Pinterest where they come in with these images and they have one budget and they want that. That's the new world we live in. So like, we can either embrace it and leverage it as a marketing channel, or just hope it goes away. I don't think it's going away. It's here to stay. So
really, one question about linking. So is it better, and this is in the chat, so is it better to link to your direct website or to your PartySlate profile, or should there be a mix of both, or does it depend on the content?
I think it's a mix of both. So if you think about, if you have beautiful content and a great view of your portfolio on your PartySlate profile, they are looking for inspiration. They're in that inspiration mindset. You might get more engagement by showing them this beautiful profile that you have on PartySlate than you would on your own website. If you have a very, very rich, dynamic, kind of full credit website, linked to your website, I would say do both. I think you should experiment with both. I think you're going to constantly want more content on Pinterest. So think through, what is the easiest way to get content tied to my brand on Pinterest? And so if you have enough on your website, do it on your website. When you run out of stuff to pin on your website, go to your PartySlate profile. And so it kind of, the list goes on. You're just going to want a lot of content at the least amount of time to get it there.
Yeah. And is it worth it to update older pins with new keywords and hashtags? Because really beautiful event content is pretty timeless.
I would say yes. I think that you already pinned these great events and you don't have your keywords in there. I would add your keywords. It will take you less time to do that than to post new. So the only thing to think about is PartySlate's going to be Pinterest is going to be looking for relevant new content too. So you need to balance the optimizing the old. And again, we do this for PartySlate too, optimizing the old versus doing the new. So I think you have to do both.
Yeah. I think that's it for questions for now.
Okay, great. And then the way to think about, and I know I created a slide like this for Instagram, the way to think about Pinterest is a gateway towards deeper engagement. So again, yes, this answers your question. Yes, to your website. You should have links to your blog entries. Again, some people have, I'll be honest, I'll try to say this in the nicest way, not the best websites. If your website is either being redesigned or not the best representation of your brand, link them to your PartySlate profile. If your website is freaking awesome, it should be your #1 channel, yes, drive them to your website. It's all about what is going to be the best experience. And if you don't have a very rich blog and your articles aren't that great, don't drive them to articles that won't convert for you. So you want to drive them to places that are going to be a positive brand representation and that you think will give them the best chance of like, oh, wow, I want to work with them, or I love that venue. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about your Pinterest action plan. So number one, you need a Pinterest content strategy. If you've already created kind of a content strategy for your SEO, you can probably leverage your SEO content strategy for your Pinterest strategy. Because the main thing you want to think about, again, if you're an event planner in San Diego, is creating keywords and things tied to San Diego. Maybe someone's planning a destination event, San Diego destination events, or maybe someone is a really well-known San Diego venue, building content around that. You want to think about what are those keywords that will drive people back, and then optimizing those pins and those boards for those keywords. Then again, building out your boards. And I forgot to show just really quickly our Pinterest, how we organize, I can't get over here, how we organize our Pinterest board. So right here, you'll see, again, the cover photo is created for you. You can see we have 1.7 million monthly views, which is great. And then you'll see all these different boards that have, beautiful, visually arresting photos, but with a really, again, pink party ideas. Again, for that person who's planning a pink party or pink bar mitzvah, this is great. We have showers, we have bachelorette parties, we have all of these things, and we have elements, bouquets. And I'm not saying we are an inspiration platform with 800,000 photos and a team that does this full time. It does not have to be this rich, but think about like, what would your top 12 boards be about, and then start there. And again, you can see some boards that are less built out. Yellow bat mitzvah ideas, very long tail, right? But these are the things that, people are searching for and that we're driving back to. I don't know, Lauren, if you wanted to add anything to that Pinterest organization.
No, I think I would just note that the pin itself and the description you put on it is more important than the board itself, because you're putting it out into this universe of Pinterest to be discovered. So unless somebody follows you, they're going to discover your pin more likely than your board or your profile page.
And again, if you look at these photos in our pink party ideas, again, these are all stunning. And again, you can have like Canva-like designed pins as well. Like these are long pins, clicking to categories. I mean, this is a stunning experience, and they all drive back to PartySlate. So we're taking all the content, pushing it out, and then driving them back again to your profile page.
And we're getting a question about where we drive our pins to. Do we go to other websites or to other platforms or just to PartySlate? And we are lucky enough to have so much amazing content from all of you that it really makes sense for us to drive back to PartySlate. So anybody that discovers one of our pins discovers your work. So That's really our focus.
You guys know we are a digital tech platform for the industry. We don't plan events. So our number one goal, and how we ultimately bring supply and demand together, is by driving people back to your profile page. So again, example, this from the pink wedding board on Pinterest drove directly to our friend Victoria, her amazing photographer who worked with David Tutera on this event. And again, this is great brand exposure for her. So again, we prioritize pinning our premium members, but we pin all great content on PartySlate. Our number one goal is to raise awareness as PartySlate as this amazing platform, but our secondary goal is to push out premium member content and drive back to our profile page.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And okay, so we're getting one more question about, can you link to more than one place on each pin? And you really can't. You have one opportunity to send it to one URL, which is, again, a difference that Julie talked about on PartySlate versus Pinterest, is we really do connect every event professional, every vendor on PartySlate, whereas you really want to choose the best landing page for your pins when you create them.
Absolutely. So it's not, Pinterest isn't as networked, almost like Instagram has the handles and everything. So it's not built the same way. Again, think of it as a visual search engine. So with that in mind, you need incredible photos, but you also have to have those keywords. Again, they do have visual image recognition, but that's not the best way for you to be found. It has to be with your descriptions and your keywords, which is the strongest in their algorithm. So I talked about our Pinterest boards and organization. Again, do not be overwhelmed. We do this full time. We are a content marketing digital platform. So we have, of course, a beautiful Pinterest experience. every single one of those links goes back to PartySlate. So content that is posted on PartySlate is pushed out to Pinterest, and then that drives, again, it's a content loop where we drive people back and forth. When you're building your Pinterest boards, again, keep your keyword and your board names, your board descriptions in mind. Really start with organic pins and article links and things like that to start. And we would say, pin consistently versus like the big bang, like I'm gonna spend an hour once a month and like pin. That we have found is not best for discoverability. But I will say, if it's a lower priority channel for you, I would just make sure at the beginning that you have 9 to 12 boards that represent your business, almost like a brand tool versus less about exposure, because you want to have at least something that looks professional in case they Google your brand name. They're going to see your PartySlate profile. They're going to see your website, obviously, first, but they might find your Pinterest page, your profile page, and you want it to look professional. And then the last step really is integrating, Pinterest as part of your ecosystem. So I always show that footprint, your digital footprint. Pinterest, you can't ignore it, right? Like it's a force in the event industry. And again, there's sometimes a love-hate relationship with it. And I think you have to just decide, just treat it as a strategic SEO-like, visual search engine for the industry. Make sure your profile page is great, and don't start creating all this original content from Pinterest. Just think about it. I have all these digital assets. How do I get my website assets, my PartySlate profile assets? How do I get that into an organized board that really helps raise awareness of my brand?
One more question, Julie. If you're a business, is it bad to have some personal boards mixed in with your business boards, and should you keep that separate?
I think it's okay to mix them in. You can reorder your boards, so you can put kind of your business boards first and then have some personal boards second. I don't think there's any problem with having that. So I always say, like on your Instagram, yes, you want all these professional photos, but from time to time, you want to get a taste of your personality and the things, your personal brand, what's important to you. And I talked about that on building on a webinar earlier today about building your brand. You want to think about what's important to you and your life. And I don't think there's any problem sharing those things.
Yeah, it's part of your business brand and your personal brand. So, and again, people are going to find your pins out in the Pinterest universe and then hopefully go back to your website or your PartySlate profile.
Yes. And so just to wrap up, and I'll take more questions. And of course, we'll send this presentation to you. We're happy to review your Pinterest profile. We obviously don't know your rhythm of posting pins and things like that, but we can give you feedback on how your profile looks and is it professional. We also have a Pinterest resource list. So there's amazing Pinterest consultants, in the industry. And there's actually someone that actually has a Pinterest course. It's like $80. Again, those are things that if you want to get smarter on Pinterest, that you can do while you're watching your reality TV shows, get a little smarter on Pinterest. I think it's a good investment just because, again, people come in with Pinterest boards, and I know some people come in with PartySlate, idea slates. I think it's important to actually fluently speak the language of Pinterest. We can also, the many new people on the call today, we can create a free PartySlate profile for you. If you're interested in our white glove service or boosting or premium membership packages, we can also talk to you about that. And then every single week, we're doing one of these digital events. Next week, Colin Cowie is actually going to come on a Zoom with us and really talk about events after COVID, the first events, how they're going to come back, and also just hear a little bit more about his founding story and how he's built a successful, in addition to his event business, a lifestyle brand where it extends into products and reality TV and other things. I know we had an amazing Insta Live with David Tutera, who gave us a little reveal on how he has built a lifestyle brand. I know that's many people in the industry are doing that type of thing. And so I'm excited to have a fireside chat with Colin about that. Lauren, other questions?
I think a lot of the questions have been answered, and we're seeing, I know there's a lot of new people on the call. We're seeing some people excited for their free profile and excited to get this deck and the recording so you can implement the strategy, which we love to hear both of those things. So we will definitely be sending that out after this, and feel free.
I put in the chat, anyone who's interested in a free profile, I put the URL partyslate.com/pro, but you can also just email us. And we actually have an amazing team that will just help you get started. Because I know sometimes, oh yeah, I want to build a profile. And when are you going to do it? Oh, I'm going to do it tomorrow. And then it's the next day. It's the next day. Within like 10 minutes, we can get your profile started for you. And then you can take it over from there. Or if you want help, our team can help you as well. So, but I really love, seeing, again, I know so many people are hurting right now. When are events going to come back? I will say there's been a glimmer. I've started to see, again, safe events with 20 to 30 people or even 10 people. And I know for next year, people are planning to have events come back. But in the meantime, this is a time to build your digital brand. This is a time to invest in your business. So I am very passionate about sharing our digital knowledge after working in digital marketing for 20 plus years with some of the biggest brands in the world. And also, I got an MBA in digital marketing from PartySlate the last 5 years. I mean, literally, I have learned more than I thought I could ever learn just from starting this business. So we can share some of that with you every week. I know good things are going to happen for you, and hopefully help PartySlate grow as well. So thank you for your time. And Lauren, as always, I always feel more confident when you're here with me.
I know, it's like our little talk show.
It's a little talk show. Yeah, it's not Oprah, but we aspire to one day.
We are technically in Chicago, so we're as close as you can get. And if anybody has any ideas for future topics, we always love hearing that as well. So we've done LinkedIn and Instagram, and now we've done Pinterest, and we'll chat with Colin Cowie next week, but please feel free to share anything that you'd love to learn more about.
Yeah, and again, someone asked about the course that I mentioned. We're going to send a link out to all of you guys with the links to all these resources and ideas. And again, also just I suggest, Pinterest marketing for wedding planners, Pinterest marketing for, again, Google is a really great resource. Don't underestimate what you can find out there. But we're going to send you the links that we like, and hopefully that helps. But thank you for your time.
Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next week.